Hello, friends. Happy Tuesday, and welcome to another edition of The Mind Behind, episode 10 of The Mind Behind, right here on Love Wrestling. Zach, before I introduce you, of course, you know I'm going to make a reference to a great Canadian professional wrestler, but
you must.
Of course, then I have to take the opportunity to introduce my guest, who, if you guys are tuned in here on Love Wrestling consistently, wherever it may be, whether it's Twitch or YouTube or Facebook Live, or we're being pirated somewhere, thank you for the courtesy. You guys have seen this guy's face a lot, but by no means is that a bad thing. Zak Ralph, a member of the Love Wrestling team, but the founder of Smark Friends, a podcast, the non-wrestlers wrestling podcast, as he likes to describe it. An absolutely fantastic show on the Two Finger Guns Club. If you guys have the opportunity, of course, we're going to be chatting about it all day. But before we do that, man, Zach, I've just got to ask, how are you doing, man? It's strangely been a while that I've seen you. Usually it'd be like, hey, I saw you 12 hours ago, or hey, I've been chatting with you all day. But like, it's been 2 days, which is an eternity in Spencer and Zach land. How are things, man?
Just keeping it, taking it easy. I mean, it's busy enough, like we are just, I don't want to talk too much shop on air. I don't know what where the lines blur or whatnot, but like Love Wrestling, we're busy, man. We are keeping it very busy.
Well, things are good. We were talking before this, actually, and something that was understated because we all forgot about it. Today, it's apropos that you were on the show. That rhymed unintentionally, but awesomely, because today is the 6-month anniversary of Love Wrestling. So it is very great, again, however serendipitous it may be, that we've got you on here today. Like I mentioned, though, we're going to touch on Love Wrestling, I'm sure, at the end, especially since we've got a couple of really cool announcements for you guys coming up on some future programming. But we're going to chat all things Smark Friends. And before we do that, if we're going to tell people, hop in the comment section, let us know your questions, comments, concerns, then let's do that. But I don't know how much you're going to like the first one. Pluggo hopping in. Let's get this out of the way now. Do the dance, Zach.
Okay. I am stating a rule. I'm making this an official rule for Power Out, okay? If Kyle Davis dances, I will dance on Power Out. That's the only criteria in which a dance is guaranteed to happen. I'm not going to just dance every time someone pops into the comments and says, do the dance. It's not happening. Let the dream go. Kyle, this is all reliant on Kyle Davis from here on going forward. So catch NWA Power. If Kyle Davis dances, Zach dances on Power Out. End of story.
Well, and I saw that he had some commentary on your dancing ability. Is that something you want to shed some light on, or would we prefer to sweep that one under the rug and pivot to the second question, I suppose?
No, I appreciated his constructive criticism. He gave me, what was it, an L for not loose enough in the hips. I don't know how he saw that because like the camera was about at this level. So like he knows. He knows a dancer when he sees one, I think. So
I was going to say, when you're an expert in the forum, you know exactly what you're doing and when you need to do it, right? But of course, hopping back to the fan comments, Ed, it's great to see you in there. Thanks for hopping in. What aspect of content creation, Zach, is your favorite and your least favorite?
I mean, like, I got into this, man, just because, like, I wanted, like, some sort of creative output. That's how I started getting into podcasting. So, like, I don't know if I could isolate it to one specific thing. Like, the guests I have on are always fantastic. I always love interacting with, like, these brilliant content creators and other artists who have like, these brilliant projects that they're looking to promote. So, like, that's always, like, a blast. I don't want to say, like, oh, I don't have any, like, least favorite parts. I mean, like, yeah, little nitpicky things that just come with the job, like, like scheduling. Luckily, I have a fantastic team behind me who are like taking charge of editing the Smark Friends podcast, so I'm not too worried about things like that. I would probably be very frustrated if I was responsible for my own audio editing, because okay, well, that's the thing. People who know my content know I have like a bit of a nervous stammer that manifests here and there. Early on, like, it was like at the very beginning of Smark Friends, it was like all over the place. And like, I would have had a hard time editing out all those stammers. And I thank my producer, Technical Tina, over at TFGC. Like, that would probably be my least favorite if I was responsible for it. And gladly, I'm not.
Now, it's a bit of an odd question for you, but like I also have my vocal intricacies. I'm certain that everybody's noticed how many times I say 110% on a podcast, but I digress. So for me, like as you get more into like the back end stuff of it, and I'm sure you have some sort of input on the editing and that, how much of that do you leave in and how much do you take out? Because obviously like a stammer, the little quirks and queries that you have with your vocal tones for everybody, it all goes towards the personality of a podcast. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree with that. Absolutely. And I try not to like eliminate it 100%. I think that'd like be like very redundant and it would lose a lot.
110%.
Yeah. Yeah. And you'd lose some of the character and that's not necessary. It's when like, I would stammer to the point where you almost lose the context of the sentence in which I'm saying. So like, I guess that's my only like major concern. If it's like a little stammer here and there, especially like in the intro or the extra, or like specifically when we're watching a wrestling match during the main body of my podcast, that's like, I live with it.
Absolutely. Now, I know watch-alongs are a big part, but certainly not the only part of the Smark and Friends podcast. And again, I feel like we keep saying it, but we got lots to chat about, man.
Yeah.
Take me through, I guess, the founding of the Smark and Friends podcast, or even before that, because I don't know if it was the Smark and Friends podcast that was your first jump into content creation. All I know is that you sent out a photo a couple days ago about, I believe it was a costume design award that you won, and you sort of alluded to that maybe being the jumping point for wanting to get into content creation. So take me through that, and then take me through how content creation is formed out of costume design. And I would sort of have to assume the dramatic works of things.
Yeah, well, I mean, like this is the award that I have been posting. I mean, I guess it's not really, it's practically
I'll give you the
invisible.
big screen. We'll try our best.
So yeah, like, hey, I can see myself through this. It's pretty cool. This is the costume design that I was awarded for my work on a web series called LARPs. Before I really got into content creation, I was like working mostly in theater with some little delves into film, specifically like LARPs being like the first major one. Again, like I was doing costume design. It was like this huge production. Like at that stage when I got that gig, like working in the arts and everything, like I thought like people were done giving me chances. And then like the people at Bean Duck Productions, they gave me the biggest chance of my career by doing this show. So I did their second season. I did the costume design behind that. Like it's a show about, well, it's LARPing. It's a live action role playing, but it's also like about people and their lives that are involved with their LARP game and how like one affects the other. Really great show, really funny stuff. And yeah, like I worked on that. That was the break of my career. And like it all like what's the word I'm looking for? Led to the award. Culminated.
Culminated. There we are. I was taking a shot in the dark there. Don't make it sound like I was trying to do anything well. God be
either way, man. I had like a word like it begins with a P, so I was way off. So like, thank you for completing the thought for me. So like once I got the award, and like that was really cool. Like I was blown away. Like I was very never thought that would happen to me in a million years. That's like the Indie Series Award. Takes place out in LA. I didn't go to LA, but my producer accepted on my behalf and whatnot. And I thought like that would be like the really turning point for my career in the arts. I thought that was like going to be like, oh, now like, that's front and center on any resume and portfolio I hand out. And, I tried. I really did. Like I tried to capitalize on that momentum, and unfortunately, it didn't happen. I made peace with that. Like it's a very competitive industry with an amazing like an amazing group of talented people. Like the people, especially in the Montreal art scene, are absolutely brilliant creators. Be it costume, set, anything in theatrics. Like man, it's a brilliant scene. And
there aren't many people, and there are a lot of great like art scenes throughout Canada, but there aren't many people who would argue that Quebec's definitely got one of, if not the most thriving, right?
Yeah, I have to agree with you. I mean, like, we always end up kind of leaving for, places like Stratford, Ontario, and where the bigger gigs are. But I firmly believe that like the Montreal and Quebec art scene are like where the creation, the creative, the groundbreaking stuff, for lack of a better term. Like I can't say enough good about the scene. Once I put that life behind me, man, like again, like I said, I made peace with it. I have no like ill will towards not succeeding in that avenue. But
The
You know,
business brother.
exactly. Yeah. So I would go on to like, you know, do the day job and whatnot. I started working in like social media and everything, paid bills and
Mhm.
everything, but I really needed like that creative outlet. I really needed to do something like, you know, create a product. I knew I couldn't get back into the arts because, you know, like my family was growing and like it would be a challenge to negotiate a film or theatrical production schedule around that. At least it would be for
Yeah.
me. So I needed something that I could like be the center of, like the center of scheduling, work around myself, work around, you know, nothing else but my own schedule.
When you decided to do things, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And so like I thought about doing like a podcast, like a wrestling podcast specifically. And I knew that my friends at the Two Finger Guns Club, specifically my friend Tina, that they were looking for content. They had already launched their first podcast, Boldly Boinking, great short run series. Oh, dude, it was
Great
about.
name.
Do you want to take a guess about what it was about? I don't know if you've actually listened to it.
Sex in public?
Close. Sex and Star Trek.
Oh.
Yeah. The romance and
Even
sexual politics in the Star Trek universe.
that's incredible.
Great podcast.
What?
Yeah. You're taking it back now.
I have no other way to put it. Please pass on my regards.
Absolutely. And so they had the one show. I just pitched this other one. I pitched like a wrestling podcast that was, you know, hints of Mystery Science Theater 3000 and
Excellent show
and things like that. But I also like wanted to keep in touch with the people from the art scene who I would never really see again, because like again, it's very, very busy work. Like you know, you
if
reach
you're
out
not
to
in it, you don't see him a ton.
exactly, and you know, totally understand. So I figured if I created this platform in which I could like give them an opportunity to promote their projects, promote their growing, their you know, whatever they have on the horizon. Even if it's under the context of, hey, come watch a wrestling match with me. We're gonna record a live commentary, and then we're gonna invite people to listen to the podcast while they watch the match itself. And you know, we'll talk about what you're up to.
And we'll figure the rest of it out later. Yeah, Plug, I think you're in the same boat as I am. Didn't expect to hear the term boinking today.
Well, you came to the wrong place.
The non-wrestling fans wrestling podcast. Of course, like I mentioned, that's watch-alongs. That's everything in between, though. And you've had some pretty wild guests on there inside and outside of professional wrestling. So I don't want to ask for like most interesting, because that feels like a really hard one to give for, again, the eclectic group that you've had on there, but maybe give a few that have stood out, whether it's because the episode was great, because it was a really out there profession. And we're saying that as wrestling fans, but an out there profession, or I guess anything by your own definition.
Yeah. I mean, it was great to work to speak with the people who I had previously known and previously worked with, all amazing talents who deserve a platform. But it was when I started getting people who I didn't know on the show where I really started like getting really excited, marking out, to borrow a term from our vernacular. When I got Montreal Sweetheart Band, Motel Raphael on the show. They make great music, just like folky pop stuff. And then there was then the big one for me, like the one where I felt like, oh my God, I can actually podcast now, is when I got Patricia Somerset. She's the voice actress behind Princess Zelda in the Breath of the Wild and Hyrule Warriors series. Again, among my passions, wrestling's at the top, but like Legend of Zelda and Nintendo games, like they're high up there. So once I got to speak to someone who contributed to that fandom and lore, that was really cool.
And so fundamentally too, like, it sounds somewhat odd to say because there aren't a lot of like talk heavy video games, especially when you and I were growing up, but
yeah,
they're still essential. Like having a voice to a character is still an essential piece, right? You've had her on a couple of times now, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, she's been on twice. She did one maybe 2 years after Breath of the Wild, and then a second time close to the release of Hyrule Warriors. And first time we watched a Cody Rhodes match, noted Zelda fan himself. And the second time, it was Riley Shepard versus Nyla Rose, two more passionate Legend of Zelda fans.
Now, I have to ask, have you found that any of your guests since coming on, maybe that weren't wrestling fans before, have any of them converted? Has Zak Ralph made any believers out there? Or
I don't
believers? Damn it, it was right there for me.
No, that's the problem. I haven't shown them any Bo Dallas matches. Once I show some Bo Dallas matches, it's game over. We have them hook, line, and sinker. But no, like whenever I have a return guest on, I do ask them, "Hey, have you watched any wrestling since?" And they're pretty much honest with me up front. Like, no, I haven't really. Like, they have a great time when they're on the podcast, and I think if I, sent a ticket their way to a local indie promotion, they would probably be inclined to show up, but they're not going out of their way to watch wrestling. We say that wrestling is for everyone, but also it's not for everyone. And that's totally okay.
It is for everyone, and that everyone is welcome to come and enjoy it, but it's not for everyone in the sense that everyone is obligated to enjoy it.
Exactly. That's exactly what the message is. Yeah, I saw that. Boink Leavers.
Well done. Well done, Plug Out. The budget might be back for Between Two Beards this week. That was a very well played joke. It's a question that I'm especially interested to ask you. And yes, it's one of the cliche questions that you have to ask any guest on any show ever that hosts other guests. But it's especially interesting when you don't host traditional wrestling guests. So is there anybody you're specifically wanting to have in the show in the future, and why? What draws you, I guess, to a guest for the Smark Friends podcast?
Well, I should also, before I move on to the people who are outside of the wrestling fandom, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention what else we do on the show, which is if I think it's going to appeal to someone who's not a wrestling fan, then I'm going to have them on. And often that means having someone like a wrestler or someone in the wrestling industry who has an outside project to speak with them about that. I've had Andy Belanger, who's known in the Quebec indie scene as Bob Animal Anger. He is also an absolute brilliant comic book artist. I'm afraid it's not within reach right now, but he's worked with WWE Studios, or excuse me, Boom Studios on WWE Comics. He's got this new series called Mother Trucker, which is one of the best pieces of wrestling content I've ever enjoyed. Please check that out. Mother Trucker, space trucks and wrestling. That's my elevator pitch.
I was going to say, you don't even need 60 seconds. Excellently played.
But for guests I'd love to have on the show, man, I'd love to have Chris Bay, because he's got a music career outside of wrestling, and I would love to pick his brain about that. For kind of like uninitiated fans, watch along. If I'm aiming big, I would love to have Mark Hamill. I would love to have Mark Hamill jump on, watch wrestling with me, and satiate two passionate loves of my life.
He seems like he would be a wrestling fan. Mark Hamill, and no context to it, obviously. I've got no idea if he actually is or not, but he just seems like a wrestling fan. He seems like a really good dude, and he's very Bill in that he's almost becoming ridiculous in the most positive sense of the word. He's my favorite follow by 110 miles, man. He's great. I changed it up. It wasn't by a percentage this time.
Well done. You are growing as a creator, sir. Well done. I'm proud of you.
Well, and that ties me in nicely, man. As far as, growing as a creator, to use your phrase, I tried to think of another one, but I couldn't. Was there a point you found that you were more confident, or things were coming more naturally to you, or you... Not the I made it moment. I hate that phrase because we're podcasting. But when you again, found that success or found you were doing well in it?
I don't know if I had that pivotal moment of... I don't really have that benchmark of success, I guess. I don't really have it in mind right now. And I don't want to, this isn't me just thanking the brand of Love Wrestling or anything. But I love what I do with TFGC. I love doing the Smark Friends podcast. It's one of my favorite things to do any given week. But that's still limited to creating one podcast every week. Now that I've been working with Love Wrestling, I'm responsible, of course, for Power Out. I'm often on Blowing Off Stream. So I'm doing a lot more live recordings than I used to. And that nervous stammer that I talked about, manifests a whole lot less than it used to. And for me, that's actually probably what I'm most proud of and like most satisfied with my content creation.
Cool. Very cool, man. And on my own stream, thank you for that, because that's very cool to hear. But I did, of course, want to touch on Power Out, because not only am I a fan, not only of Power Out itself, but Power. What drew you to the NWA? What inspired you? Like, again, it's a great product, but there aren't a ton of individuals going out and flying the flag like you are of saying, I'm an NWA fan. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just a style of wrestling that like appeals to me. Like I'm not going to pull, I don't want to say their names and give them lip service or anything, but like I'm not the kind of fan who like is gonna crap on like the flip, like big spot dive style wrestling. Like that has its place, absolutely, and it certainly appeals to a lot of people. Like that's totally fair. NWA, like the how they construct a match, it's very traditional. Like it makes sense to me. I can imagine a lot of the wrestlers that I grew up watching thriving in the NWA environment. I can't imagine Bret Hart. Can you imagine Bret Hart doing well in AEW, for example? I think you would be more likely to see Bret Hart be Bret Hart in an NWA setting than you would AEW or modern day WWE.
Very, very fair point. Though we did see Randy Orton hit a bro Derek last night. So anything's possible. All I wanted to see, admittedly, and I understand bro Derek's cool. It's devastating. I'm fine with it. But like the day Randy Orton hits a floating bro is the day I'm done watching wrestling, because lots of love to the industry, but I am, it's never getting any better than Randy Orton hitting a floating bro. I almost quit after he did the splits because I thought it couldn't get any better than that. But we pressed on, and years later, we've got the potential for it. Of course,
what will he do in 10 years?
Oh my goodness, what will be invented? Orton hits the 630 at WrestleMania 60 for, oh my goodness. This is the life that I want to live. Manifest your dreams, right? We're getting closer to wrapping up on the show. We've got about 10, 15, 20, 2 hours left. Who knows? You and I could sit and talk for a while. But of course, being cognizant of the promoting tonight, or the promotion running tonight, to, just speak better on my end. NXT starting in a few minutes here. So I do want to make sure that we touch on a couple of great things coming up on our end, and specifically, Zach, your end coming up on Quizplex.
Yes.
I'm going to play the graphic. I think we can talk over it. I didn't test this in pre-production.
Yeah, there's no sound. Go for it.
Perfect. So here we go. Zach, a big announcement coming up here on Love Wrestling for the end of the month, my friend. Here you go.
Yeah, Quizplex is always a highlight of my month. But like this coming episode of Quizplex is going to be something special. We are going to be raising money for the Trevor Project. We're going to have audience participation. We're going to have special guest contestants. We've got really exciting things happening for that special episode of Quizplex. And man, we're doing it for a great cause. I mean, like the Trevor Project does tremendous work for the LGBTQ plus community, and couldn't be prouder to be waving that flag for this particular episode of Quizplex.
Absolutely, my friend. You put it perfectly. For anybody who's not aware of what the Trevor Project does, I would highly encourage you to go and check out their website, their social media. And admittedly, when I don't have another screen pulled up, I will pull that up. But the Trevor Project is the leading national organization providing crisis intervention and suicide prevention services to the LGBTQ plus community under 25, which I think that anybody, frankly, with a heart can find some support for. And especially, you should be supporting good people and the LGBTQ plus community all the time, friends. But in a month where we specifically should be, let's go ahead and do so. So that'll be on June 24th. Of course, throughout the month, we're going to be announcing special guests, giving you guys some great updates on what you can expect from Quizplex. Of course, Zach right there, lovingly hosting, unless, of course, I think I throw another Starlight, Starbright references way in the next 20 days. But we'll get there. Okay, real question here. Do you prefer that, or would you prefer I ask you to dance? Because I think there's a 1-1A situation there.
Oh man,
I can call you out in front of our special guests. We can get you. We can get you dancing.
Okay, just put on Starbright if I must choose one, because I can hide behind that graphic being on my screen. I can turn off my screen if I absolutely must.
JPJ hopping in and echoing the thoughts of the stream. I feel like it's going to be a, admittedly, man, I'd rather be asked to dance than be called sus in the comments all the time.
I do not understand.
Unfortunate.
I'm going to have words with Mr. J once, I can be within his general vicinity again, because he started this dance, Zach dance, and it's catching on. I don't like it. It needs to stop. It's not okay. It's not funny. Don't laugh. It's not.
I think it's pretty good. I think it's pretty solid. I enjoy it quite a bit. I got a good chortle out of it, as you guys all can see there out in TV land. And of course, if we're going to shout out people hopping in there to say hello to Zach, Lawrence asking you to dance as well.
Good to
At least
see
Lawrence
you.
just hopped off a kick in my ass. See, we'll tie this thing back and go full circle with it. It's always nice to see you, except when you're kicking my ass at Among Us. Now, again, let's get back to, of course, the important work that the Trevor Project is doing and how you guys can help, because not only are we going to be taking donations on the 24th, we will be taking donations throughout the month of April. Yes, even post-Quizplex, pre-Quizplex, and during Quizplex. You guys are able to donate to the Trevor Project directly. We're trying to hit the goal of $1,000 US, and it's certainly a lofty one, friends, but every dollar towards it counts, whether it's one, whether it's 100. If you're the one out there throwing 1,000 towards it, then God bless you. But however you guys choose to support, this is what we're going to be pushing all month. So if you want to head to donate.tiltify.com/@lovewrestlingca/Trevor Project, that is where you can start to donate right now. Again, friends, we never want to obligate you to give money, but if you guys want to give some, that is the way to support Love Wrestling this month. I would appreciate it. Thank you very, very much. It would be thanked even more than it just was right there. However, sorry, Zach, I'm a little distracted.
No.
Everybody. Oh, no.
I like it, Joe. Thank you.
Heel turn. God,
you've been called out, man. You gonna let this slide? I've set my criteria. Kyle Davis did not dance tonight on Power, so it's on you, man. Das Wunderkind.
There we go. Now I'm gonna get blocked.
Thank you, Joe.
But say, Livy, hopefully I don't get blocked on your end of things, Zach, because I quite enjoy following you on Twitter. And if you guys out there in the Twitcherverse, I tried to coin that, it didn't work, but I'm going with it right now. The Twitcherverse, if you guys out there on YouTube, if you guys out there on Facebook Live want to keep track of Zach across social media, I've been rhyming a lot unintentionally today, and you just saw it catch up to me. Zach, where can people find you on social media, friend?
You can find me right here over on now it's
no, don't worry. I know I was going to say we'll hop right back into the Slack chat after this, and we'll start brainstorming new ways to show off your handsome social media handles.
Yeah. So again, Smarkmouth that's where you can find me on Twitter. On Instagram, it's smark.mouth, and of course, you can follow the Smark and Friends podcast itself only on Twitter at Smark and Friends, or you can follow on Facebook. We at Two Finger Guns Club, which covers all of the amazing TFGC content that includes my show, Rocket Man Explores, and Foul Mouth. Great shows all around.
I completely agree, friends. And not only would I suggest supporting Zach for his great work on Love Wrestling, but we had him on here today because of the Smark and Friends podcast, because it is a damn fine production. If you guys are tuning in because you're a wrestling fan, you're going to find something you love. And if you guys are tuned in because you're watching on Facebook and are likely a relative of mine that isn't a professional wrestling fan, but you choose to support because you're great people, choose to support great other people like Zach as well, head over to the Smark and Friends podcast. He's got his social media right there, and it'll be very easy for you guys to keep track of that, because I'm sure we'll keep vamping out there, because admittedly, Zach, I forgot to select a channel to raid, but thankfully, it will be very, very easy to do. We are going to head and say hello to Big Ben, another individual doing some great work for the Ontarian professional wrestling scene. So, Zach, one way that I've loved closing the show out over the last little bit is letting my guests plug not only their social media, but just a great person in content creation. So if you are a great person in content creation and Zach is about to shout you out, stay tuned. But first, we are going to shout out Justine. Thank you very much. It is always, always appreciated. And if you guys want to show some support, I'm leaving this up here because if you're watching on Twitch, you've got a Twitch channel to go to and give a follow and a subscription to very, very shortly. Support, again, great people. I can't say that enough to close the show out, but great individuals like Justine and great individuals like those handsome ones scrolling across the bottom of the screen. Yes, including Pluggo, who still hasn't sent the photo for his emote. So tisk, tisk, my friend. However, friends, if you guys are watching on YouTube or Facebook, you're going to hear the music in a couple of seconds, but we advertised a shout out from Zach. So Zach, a great person in content creation, someone near and dear to your heart to close out this week's edition of The Mind Behind.
One of the first people who have ever given me support in the whole wrestling scene when I started the Smark Friends podcast. And actually, Spencer, you're going to love this tie-in. He's your guest next week on The Mind Behind. It's the one and only Foul Original. He is absolutely a must-follow in the hellscape that is social media on Twitter. He's one of the positive forces that you must be following. Absolutely.
That's a perfectly put way to describe what professional wrestling can be. But again, friends, we like highlighting great people in pro wrestling. We are highlighting a great one next week. We are highlighting, as I try and find that graphic, Foul. Oh, that's a background. Dang it. I did a bad job of this one. We're highlighting.
Put the video on. Put the video on.
Oh, we're going to put the video on. All right. I can. Thank you. You did a good job of this, Zach. Thank you. See, this is why you do the graphics and I don't. Foul Original, a great individual in pro wrestling, joining me next Tuesday at our regularly scheduled time of 5 p.m. Mountain, 7 p.m. Eastern on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. Thank you guys once again for tuning into The Mind Behind here on Love Wrestling. As I was starting to allude to before, Zach, man, you're the backbone of this. You remind me of too much shit that I just forget to do. So thank you for doing that. Thank you guys for tuning into The Mind Behind. If you're on YouTube and Facebook, you guys are going to catch the music here in a second. If you guys are on Twitch, however, you guys are going to join us on a journey across the internet. We are going to go see our good friend Big Ben. Show some support. Join us there. Join us next week. And join us tonight as we host another edition of NWA Power Out with the handsome gentleman right there. See you guys soon, right back here on Love Wrestling, and see you even sooner over with Big Ben.